Uh, Good morning, good evening, students. Uh, we are starting with our fourth uh, paper, that is business economics, and this is a very important subject in the foundation level students. So the most important part of this paper is it is an objective type paper where 100 marks questions will be there, and each question consisting of 1 marks. There will be no theoretical type writing skills that will be tested of yours. So here you have to focus on what the faculty is delivering on the subject, and the importance of business economics as a subject is we can connect it with our day-to-day life, because most of the concept that you will be taught in the next 2.5 months is one way or the other way it will be connected to your day-to-day life. Both micro, macro, public finance, money market, Indian economy are very relevant, particularly latter stage of your chartered accountancy course. Also, macroeconomic will play a very important role in understanding the concepts. So the purpose of this whole exercise is to make student aware of the concept that is relevant in the subject, because mostly the questions that is been asked in the examinations are from the study module only. So our thrust is, although we have a very extensive, exhaustive study material, so you don't have to bother about the content, what content to be studied. So the whole lecture will be focused on the content that is there in the ICAI module only. Second thing is maintain discipline in the class, because ultimately if you don't maintain the discipline in the class, the faculty who is taking the class will be discouraged, and ultimately the whole purpose of doing this exercise will be not giving the desired result. So ultimately our whole objective of this BOS learning exercise, live learning session exercise, is to make the student understand the concept, make them aware of the concept, and create a interest in the particular subject, so that when they study on their own, at least they can realize that yes, this concept I had already studied in the live learning classes. So live virtual classes. So that is an important aspect. As this whole classes will proceed, we will be telling you not only about the content, how to approach the exams, what type of questions that has been asked in the exams. So all your queries that has been coming to your mind will be addressed by us. So don't worry about that aspect. Here, the whole syllabus of business economics is divided into 10 units. Although most of the units contain the same weightage, but unit 4 and 5, that is containing a weightage of 15%. The first unit that today we are starting with is having a weightage of 5%. But this is the basic of business economics. And from here onwards, we will be building the concepts which will be gradually helpful in understanding your next chapters onwards. So focus on what the faculties are teaching in the class. Don't try to disturb the class. Maintain the decorum. And whatever the query you are having, we'll be taking all of them, although 50% of the queries are generalist in nature, mostly relating to the examination pattern or the type of questions and all other, where we from Board of Studies will be answering that. The queries that is related to the subject will be taken care of the subject faculties. So the policy matters or any other queries that has been asked by the students will not be addressed by the concerned faculty. Only we at the BOS will be taking all those queries. So the purpose is to make the student aware of the concepts and make them interested in learning the subject economics, which is a very dynamic subject and which is very helpful in understanding the day-to-day concepts that or day-to-day situations that one are into in. So the first topic that we are starting is Introduction to Business Economics. So the faculty, Professor Neelam Tandon, is having a vast experience in the subject domain, and she is having more than 25 years of experience in teaching student. So no better person than Professor Neelam Tandon to address you, to make you understand the concept and focus on learning new things that although the people who have studied economics at 11th, 12th level might be aware of most of the concepts, but not in that detail what we are teaching here. So over to Professor Neelam Tandon for taking this session forward. I think most of the students are here to study. They won't be creating any disturbances in the class. Although whatever the queries, we will try to address them all, mostly that is related to the subject. So over to Neelam ma'am for taking this session forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nikhil, sir. Thank you. Wanted to share my PPT. Can you see my PPT?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So we are starting with this, as Nikhil sir has already shared. This business economics paper, students, those who have access to screen, please do not scribble. It is for you. And if anybody is found doing any mischief, they will be exited from the class. So don't scribble at all. Okay, this is not for you. This is only for me. And no student should have this. Don't take that leverage. Okay, so we are talking today about business economics. I will be sharing chapter number 1, that is Introduction to Economics, and connecting what is economics, how economics is related to business economics, why should you study about business economics, how the company or a sector or a country or an individual, for them, why economics is so important. So this is what we will be sharing. This chapter is divided into 2 segments. First segment is about basics of introduction to economics, followed by second is about the problems of any economy in the world, what they go through, and how do they resolve if you see a country having more of particular product being produced or power with one particular player, that is all determined through the factors which we will be sharing over the period of time. So one, as Nikhil sir has shared, this business economics paper is important. Reason being, you are not going to be chartered accountant who is going to deal with financials or auditing. You should know about a company. It's what is the basic parameters of a company, what product do they have, how do they decide about the pricing, is it labor intensive, is it capital intensive, how do they decide about their investment strategy, all will be shared with this. So this is the very, very important topic or the chapter which will make your background and foundation very strong for recent chapters, not only in terms of economics, but for other subjects also when we'll study. Okay. So we are starting with this, and your queries will be taken care later. So you know this paper is of 100 marks and it will be all objectives, and objectives makes it very challenging because objectives, in the case of objectives, you have alternatives which are very, very close alternatives, and students get confused. And you may mark wrong answer where you lose your marks. And that is why it's very, very important to pay attention and look for the concept clarity. That should be a core goal at this point of time. Because in class 12, you might have studied economics. That was more related to core concepts. But now we are going to talk about it related to the market, how it leads to. The students are still using this
Yeah,
screen.
we are blocking that. Sorry.
So this, I'm sharing this, those students. So this is
Just
first.
make the screen full.
Okay, is it fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the framework of what we will be sharing today. What exactly is economics? What is the relationship between economics and business economics? How business is evolving over the period of time? How do you define business economics? What is the scope of business economics? What are the different verticals of economics which are duly taken care in business economics? What is the nature of business economics? What is the core business economic problem business units have to face, and how do they overcome? So this is the broader framework of the entire class, the flow of the class. So first and the foremost, defining about business economics. But first and the foremost, you should understand what exactly is economics and how economics came into existence. So prior in the 19th century, economics was all about political economy, how the economy is performing, what are the political measures countries are supposed to take, all governed by the civic bodies and other government. But now economics has changed. This economic concept has evolved after the Greek word oikonomia, which is the origin of from the Greek, which has two components, that is about household and management. So we are not talking about the companies only, we are also talking from the consumer perspective, the household management, and that's about economics, okay? Adam Smith is known as father of macroeconomics, and he introduced the book which brought revolution in the field of economics, that is an inquiry into the nature and causes of wealth. And Adam Smith is considered as modern economist because he introduced that free trade is good for countries. So, sir, this is becoming very difficult. Students are scribbling.
Nothing.
Yeah, we are just trying to.
So when we talk about economics, core of economics is economic problem. What economic problem is all about? It's about that you have n number of like wants to fulfill. You want to have everything in life. Let's say your exams are approaching and you have 60 hours with you or 160 hours with you, then in that case, you know you have to prepare for any number of subjects. How will you allocate your time? What is your constraint? Time is your constraint. You have limited time. What is your, how do you have to decide about within that time? How many subjects I can prepare and how well I can prepare so that I score good marks and I get through this foundation course so that I become eligible for intermediate. So what is important for you is that first and foremost to decide about what are my resources, what is the end goal I want to achieve, and you know that your resources are limited, but your end goals are n in number. So you have to prioritize. So because reason being that time which you have in hand, you can devote one for one subject more and less for the other subject. But how will you take a call that which subject I should devote more time? It's dependent on that in which subject you are good. Suppose you are good in business stats. So then in that case, you'll be devoting more time for business stats and you'll be devoting less time for law, depending upon which subject you are good in. So if you're good in one subject, obviously the time devoted will be less. You make a choice. Why do you have to make a choice? Because your constraint is time. What are your end goals? End goal is to perform well in all subjects. That is why you have skill. So any player, you being a student, me being a faculty, a company, a multi-billionaire organization, or you talk about a country, every player, government, what I have to do? Your
Look,
annual need. Yes, yes. हाँ ये इसमें दिखा रहा है got it. Check out the brand new got it. On got it. I'm not able to do it because it's not giving that.
hello. Hello.
Yes. Still we are using it.
मैम जब आप स्क्रीन शेयर कर रहे हैं ना तो ऊपर ना 3 डॉट आ रहे होंगे.
More, more.
मोर
हाँ
उस पे एनोटेशन आ रहा होगा.
हाँ
एनोटेट सॉरी.
disable. Disable. I've done disable.
या मैम.
So this is the core economics problem. So for example, we talk about business unit. So you're running any organization, you start your startup. So what will be the means and what will your end? Mean will be, for example, you want to achieve you have your skill, you have basic area where you want to start your business. So these are your means. But the problem is that you want to achieve high output. You want to go for higher sales. You want to produce more at a low cost. So these are your end goals, but you have limited resources. So then you have to make a choice and you have to give for choice preference also. This is the first thing I'll do. First and foremost, I'll work on product. For the product, first and foremost, I'll work on cost. Then I'll work for pricing. Before I work for pricing, I have to look for distribution. And then respectively, you prioritize because this is the core problem of any economy. This is what we are going to share, okay? So but in today's world, modern economies, if we talk about, is it possible that land is a constraint? Your labor is a constraint. Can that be a constraint? That can be a limitation. You cannot increase that. So if you have a defined number of workforce, that's your limitation. But is it possible to still produce more? Yes, you can do it in today's world because you have access to better technology. You have skilled people. You can educate them. You can make them techno savvy. At the same time, You can make them rely more on technology. You can go for raw material, which can be more productive at a lower cost. So all these factors, despite being in a limited era of limited resources, still you can produce more because you can enhance resource capacity and the capability. So that is one factor in modern economies which you have to take care about. And examples which you can see in the market is about shale. You know, shale company, it's opaque for the countries which were producing oil. And then shale from US came in the market by cracking of rocks, and they reduced the cost of production. And that is why they could produce more oil, and which changed the rule of the game in the oil market. You see in India today, government of India has introduced this neon spread through drones. So fertilizers are being spread through drones. What is happening because of that? The cost has gone down. So you have limited resources, but still you can increase your efficiency by enhancing the productivity of resources, limited resources you have. That's the new mantra of modern economics. But there can be other possibility also. For example, I say that if you increase your resources, you increase your capacity, you can produce more. With the limited resources, you can have more output. But sometimes it happens, everything is in place, but still you cannot produce more. Why so? So we have seen during COVID-19, what happened? We were productive, firms were ready to work, but since the disease was spreading like epidemic, and it was declared by World Health Organization that countries should take care about this. So what they did, government said that you have to work from home. So employees were confined to home, productivity decreased, and the performance adversely affected, and that resulted in loss for many firms. And other example which you can quote is about 2008 financial crisis. Crisis happened in US market, but it had impact all across the world. So sometimes it happens that everything is in place, but certain factors can lead to higher output and growth, but certain factors can lead to decrease in the output. So this also you have to take care about. So what is the core of economics? Why you should know about economics so well? Why is it so important in today's context? Whether you are running a startup, whether you run your conglomerate, whether you become part of social organization, whether you run any NGO, whether you work for any company, small, big, conglomerate, whatever it is, country, you become part of the leadership of the country. Then also you have to decide about. So what is the core of economics? Core of economics is efficient allocation of resources. And what do you mean by efficient allocation of resources? Reason being, you have limited resources and you have any number of goals to achieve. And that is why you have to decide about how should I allocate my resources in such a manner that the productive capacity of my organization or my country or of any organization will increase. So that is the core of economics. And that is why it's very, very important for you to understand. Countries which do not realize efficient allocation of resources, that will hampering their productive capacity, which will decrease their output growth rate. Output decreases means income decreases. Income decreases means it will increase poverty in the country. Poverty increases means you will be less productive because you will not have enough money. And this will become a complete cycle, which becomes very difficult to overcome. So very, very important concept of economics is efficient allocation of resources, which helps in expansion and productive capacity. And for this, why do we use the term efficient allocation? Because you have limited resources and you have unlimited goals to be achieved. And that's why you have to make a choice. Choice by prioritizing. Should we go for A? Should I go for my equity or should I raise from the market? You have seen many companies in the market which have suffered because they had taken loan and they could not repay the loan amount and they became bankrupt. So it's very, very important that should I raise loan? If I'm raising loan for my venture, from where I'm raising, should I go for raising it through venture capitalists? Should I raise it from the bank? Should I raise it through bonds? How should I raise it? What will be the cost? How much will be the price? How long it will take me to produce a good? How long it will be there in the market to become sustainable? All these factors are a component of efficient allocation of resources, which helps you to become more sustainable and grow and expand your business in the long term. Okay, so this is the core of economics. So you have this example in your book. So this fellow, Mr. Ramamurthy, is a CEO of a food company. They are into food vertical. Like you have Maggi, you have so many other products, no? So they are producing this. Now, this company feels that the CEO of the company feels that the demand for food products is becoming exhausted. That means the growth of the company will not be there in the long term. So this CEO of the company, Mr. Ramamurthy, is thinking about that we should enter into another vertical, that is soft drinks. So you cannot confine only to food, because he believes that if you confine only to food, that means you will be decreasing your sales, you will decrease your sales and you become less profitable. And maybe in future, you have to wind up your unit. So I don't want to go for that. I want to expand my business. And for that, I want to enter in soft drink business. So his team members are saying, no, sir, we need time. This is not the right time to enter into soft drink business. He's asking why so. So people say that Indian consumers are becoming more health conscious. They may not opt for soft drink. Some are saying that. The other members are saying that, no, there are rivals in the market. Their competitors are already there in the market who can produce at a low price, low cost and low price. How will we be able to match up to them? So we will not be able to sustain this venture. Entering into another vertical can become loss-making for us. So we should not enter into this. So Ramamurthy and others are working on this. So Ramamurthy, being the CEO of the company, wants to enter into soft drink, new vertical from food, because he believes that this is going to lead to maturity in future date and the business has to grow. And that is why. So this is a matter of choice, making a decision. So other members in the team are saying, no, we should not go for it based on the facts and figures. But Ramamurthy says, no, I have done my homework, I've done research, and I've come to the conclusion that this segment has a huge growth opportunity, so we should enter into this. So two players talking in the different directions, the CEO of the company and the team members. Now, what is the problem in this? What is economics in this? What is business economics in this? So business economics in this is this. So should we enter into the new business? Should the firm enter into the new business? Should the firm launch a new product? If they launch the new product, have they taken care about the competitive environment in the market? To what extent they have taken care about competitive environment in the market? Should we launch this product? What technique of product for production we should use? Because the other competitor in the market is using some technique of production, which is helping them to quote at a low price. If they are able to quote at low price, we'll be able to match up with their price. Because if we are not able to match up with their price, then nobody is going to buy our product. So we will be losing the market share. We'll incur the cost, but we will not get the revenue. And if we will not get the revenue, our costs will go up and then we'll end up in more liabilities. So how should we sustain in that case? So these are the questions you have in your business economics. Okay. So, and that is why it becomes very important. So what should we take care? Should we go for technology first? Should we go for product first? Should we go for cost first? Should we go for the components of the product first? What should be the most important thing for us? Should we analyze the market first? So then you realize, okay, fine. We have decided, because Ramamurthy decided that he wants to enter. Being the CEO of the firm, you can't deny your boss, no? So he says, I want to enter. Now other members, team members have to work on. Because if boss has decided, we have to come with soft drink. Now, how long it will take soft drink of their company to become successful in the market? So that is a big question. So your objective is that you want to become successful in the market, but becoming successful has a number of questions. Now you have to address these questions one by one. So you make a choice. You make a choice and you take a decision. This is business economics. How should we go for customer segmentation? Should we launch in a small market? Should we go for launching it for a specific? Should we go for taking inputs from the existing customer first? Then we launch a product. And so on. Any number of questions. Who should be our brand ambassador? What kind of marketing challenges we'll have in the market? Who should we hire for this skill? And so on. You understand? So any firm, this one example we have shared. This is quoted from your course module. And ICAI, your team, Board of Studies, has worked a lot to find out this kind of a short example, very precise, and to make you understand all the verticals of business economics. I hope you're getting the essence of allocation of resources. What is the core of business decision? So these are the questions we'll have. So he says that we have to go in a logical manner. We can't go for, you may have ifs and buts, but we have to proceed in a logical manner. So questions can be, what will be our returns in future? Okay, what will be our production cost? How should we go for pricing? From who will be our distributing channel partners? Where should we raise financing from? Will it be worth it or not? So that's the remark, Ramamurthy, Mr. CEO of the firm, has given in the end based on. So he says we have to go for it. Now the team has to work on prioritizing and decision making. So they have to use the concept of business economics. So that is business which is changing in the market today. And that is why economics helps business units, countries, individuals, startups, non-profit organizations to make the right decision at the right point of time so that they become more sustainable and profitable in the long term. Okay, so that's the core of business economics. It's very, very important for you to understand and believe in it. So we have shared. If you are a financing company, you have to see that where to raise the funds from. Should we go for using those funds? How should we deploy our funds? What is the maturity of loan payments? Which product we should go for? Which project is more viable? So you study NPV, net present value. Will it be used? We will study in future about capital budgeting. So you'll understand the implications of financing, why it is important. Companies have to decide about inventory management. How much inventory should we have? So if you look at companies, some companies have huge inventory stock. Why do they keep huge inventory stock? Because you have huge inventory stock, then you can meet expectations of consumers, you decrease your cost, and you meet up to the expectations. So you see Zodio in the market. If you go to Zodio outlet, you'll see they have huge inventory, and every weekend or fortnightly basis, they change their inventory because they know their consumers what they are looking for, and they have to prioritize that. How should we display the product? Should we go for displaying the basic products in the front or in the end? Decision making at each and every step to maximize an efficient allocation of resources. So what is most important is rational decision making to have optimal allocation of resources. Please do keep it in mind. This is the core of business decision making. Allocation of resources in the most efficient manner so that you become profitable, you become sustainable. If not profitable, you can synergize the impact. So suppose you are running an NGO, then in that case, you are not looking for profit motive, but you're looking for maximizing impact. There also you have to decide about, I have limited funds. I have to reach to a number of people. Whom should I help first? Whom should we take care about that? Whom should we hire? At what cost we will be hiring? Should we go for marketing for our NGO or not? So every player, maybe profit making, maybe non-profit making, maybe government, maybe countries, all have to decide about allocation of resources and decision making to optimize their resources. So now you know economics, now you know business economics. If I ask you what is the difference between economics and business economics, or if I say that business economics is a subset of economics, will you agree with me or not? So you can see here, what is economics? Economics is a wider concept which takes care about concepts, theories, okay, which helps to resolve business and economic problems. But when we talk about business economics, we use those principles in economics, what you have studied about, theories, principles in business world, so that you can resolve and you can optimize your resources. So application of economic concepts, theories in business world is business economics. So in economics, you study theory, concepts, how you have derived those theories, what is the concept of those theories. But when we start connecting it with business world and to get benefit through that, that is business economics. What is the characteristic of economics? Economics takes care about both. So if I talk about Paytm did very well during COVID. Paytm is a firm, isn't it? It's a firm. So it's a micro concept. We are talking about a firm. We talk about pricing of the firm. We talk about costing of the firm. We talk about revenue of the firm. These are micro concepts. But Paytm did very well during demonetization, during digital infrastructure landscape in India. Why so? Because these are macro steps which were taken by government. The government introduced digital landscape. People became more digitally savvy, digitally literate. Once they became digitally literate, and then there was demonetization. So every second player had to rely from cash-driven economy to digital economy. How Paytm got that benefit? Only because of the macro factors. Isn't it? Today you see real estate is developing at such a pace. Why so? Because government has taken care about good roads, good transport. That is a macro initiative. These macro initiatives are helping firms. So economics take care about both micro and macro. But when we talk about business economics, we talk about micro. We'll talk about firm. We'll talk about firm's profit. We'll talk about firm's cost. We'll talk about consumers, those who want to buy that product of that company. We'll talk about the production capacity of that firm. So we'll talk more in terms of micro, okay? When we talk about business economics. But economics comprises of both micro, macro, international factors, everything. But when we talk about micro, we talk about specific, okay? Consumer demand. But when we talk about macro, we talk about demand of the country, which is definitely a broader concept which has a component of demand for middle income group, higher income group, lower income group, and all. So this is how the difference is there in terms of characters or players. Then what is the main task of economics? Economics ensures that fulfillment of needs of individual as well as entities. So it takes care about both institutions. When we talk about economics, we talk about market. We talk about how census is performing, how countries perform, how India's country's GDP growth rate is increasing, how we have moved from 10 to 5 and we will be becoming third largest economy in the world, how we are reaching to that level, what are the factors which are leading to that level of growth of the country, how India is recognized all across the world, how our UPI is making presence. But UPI, when we talk about, becomes more of micro. So proper decision making, particular for business entity. Some companies have become successful, some companies become failure. That's business economics. But the all ecosystem which is supporting the company's performance is economics. So the entire ecosystem within the firm and surrounding that firm, maybe suppliers, maybe policy matters. So if you know about PLI, Production Linked Incentive Scheme, which has helped many firms to perform better. PLI is a macro concept introduced by Government of India, initiative to help producers to produce more efficiently by giving them solar panels. Government has given tax benefit and subsidies. Solar panel company producing solar panel will be getting more benefited because of the tax benefits given by government. Macro concept, tax benefits given to a particular player. So this is how the differences between economics and business. Nature. Business economics is about what? Positive as well as normative. Positive and normative, what is the difference between that? If the demand of the good, if the price of the good increases, if the inflation in the country increases, the overall demand in the economy will decrease. That is a fact. You have seen in country like how prices are going up and how it means. But normative is that since prices in the economy is increasing, price level in the economy is increasing, of let's say about wheat, then poor people for whom wheat is the staple diet, they cannot afford to buy wheat. So government will say, okay, fine, wheat will be subsidized for them. Normative. Poor people should not be penalized because of the high inflation rate in the country. So this is about normative as well as positive. Business economics is always normative. Normative, I don't want to lose my profit. I'm an NGO. I always want to create more impact because it will help maximum. Normative is that we believe that this more judgmental in nature. This should happen. This should happen because it's good for us. This should happen. No company, no organization will say that we want to lose. Isn't it? No NGO or non-profit organization will say that we do not want to make impact on the economy. So normative. Normative is rationalizing and saying that this is what should happen. And because of that, we have to take these decisions. So we have already shared example about a company which is in food segment, want to enter into soft drink segment. They are gradually moving to the decision that we want to enter into soft drink segment based on all facts and figures, normative decision making. Now, soft drink is good or not bad for the people, that's a different issue. That government will decide about what will be the sugar content in soft drink. But if soft drink demand is there, me as a company can go for producing soft drink because that gives me market share and that gives me my profitability and that makes me more growth-driven company in the market. This is how it works. So economics has a wider scope because as you know now, when we talk about micro or business economics is a subset and macro is a broader concept. So economics is a wider concept, but business economics is a narrow concept as compared to economics, because economics take care about everything. Not only within India, but international factors also. You have seen toy industry in India, how toy industry in India has performed post getting goods, Chinese players in the market, then what government had to do, how it impacted a particular player who was in the toy segment, producing toy, manufacturing firm. So business economics is a comparatively narrow concept as compared to economics as a broader concept. Okay. And so economics can be, the branches of economics will be microeconomics and macroeconomics, behavioral economics, international economics. But when we talk about business economics, it is more applied branch of microeconomics. Microeconomics will be sharing more at length. Those who have studied economics, they might have studied also the difference between micro and macro, you might be knowing. But some students who have not studied, but I would definitely tell all of you what you have studied and the way you have studied in class 12 was more about theoretical. But since we are talking about business economics, so you can't be confining yourself to concepts only. You have to start correlating concepts with real world, real life examples. The way you see market, the way you see industries performing, the way you see firms are performing. Okay? I'm sorry. So managerial economics is also known as, is a component of business economics, because managerial economics, if you understand managerial economics will be what? Managerial economics is managing resources economically by managers. Managers can be anywhere, any segment. It can be in a big conglomerate, it can be in a small firm, isn't it? So managerial economics got that kind of recognition as the economy became more consumer driven, market driven. So it became more prevalent over the period of time. And Joel Dean in 1951 was the one who coined this term managerial economics through his book, Managerial Economics. So managerial economics basically is what? It is a combination or a culmination of economic theory, which you read. It may be micro, it may be macro, and then you start connecting it with business practices. When we talk about economic theory, majorly in in managerial economics, we connect with microeconomics. Microeconomics, because microeconomics is about a firm. It's about a consumer. It's about a product. It's about cost. It's about revenue. It's about sales. It's about productivity. Okay. It's about profit of the firm. So microeconomics. So when we talk about managerial economics, we will be talking about more with respect to microeconomic theory, but some interaction will definitely be there with respect to macroeconomics, because firm will not exist until or unless you have macro in place. So you see today is the world of edtech. Today is the world of fintech. Today is the world of app. Why so? Because you have smartphones and you have everything in your phone today. And since you can use that, that is why companies are connecting more through technology. If this opportunity would not have been created through macro factors, then these companies would not have been in existence. So Uber, Ola, your Swiggy, any player, Zomato, any player in the market is because of this. Okay. So what is microeconomic theory? Microeconomic theory is the heart of business economics. It takes care about microeconomic theories, behavior of the consumer. What makes consumer to buy a product? What makes a consumer to switch over from A company to B company? What makes a consumer to buy more despite being of high price? Okay, so all these factors, who are the competitors in the market, how the competitive market is changing, how the managers decide about the production, what kind of skill do they require, what kind of decisions they have to make, business decisions they have to make, how they should allocate their scarce resources. So this is all microeconomic theory, which will be used in business. That's why we say microeconomics is the heart of business economics. Because if you know these concepts, then only you can apply these concepts in business world, which will make your company or non-profit organization to become more relevant in fast changing and a dynamic world market. So what is the core difference between micro and macroeconomics? Microeconomics is about product. It's pricing. So Lay's chips, its pricing is micro. How many consumers they buy Lay's? How the pattern of buying Lay's has changed over the period of time. How Lay's takes care about who should be the workers who would be working for Lay's production. What kind of technology they should use for production of chips to make it more crispy. How should they decide about packaging of Lay's packet so that the vacuum retains, so that because of rainy season, it should not lose its crispiness. What kind of technology should they use? How should they bring variation in the product attribute? How many consumers are switching over to buy more of Lay's today in the market? Why people are buying more of chips? What is the economic condition? Why youngsters are buying more? Because they have income today. So their disposable income is increasing. Income is increasing, so they buy more. Number two, people are staying more in a nuclear family. So kids have more power to decide about what to buy, what not to buy. So they are buying more chips. So demand is increasing. Number three, you are more confined to indoors. You are more confined to indoors. You want to have some snacks, no? Watching TV or Netflix or whatever it is. So the demand is increasing. So these are the economic conditions. Middle income group are increasing. Their income is increasing. Economic factors which are helping people to decide. Behavior of firms. How firms are deciding about consumers are becoming more concerned about price. We cannot go for increasing the price. Let's work on taking care about reducing our packaging costs. Let's work on cost front because we can't increase the price. If we increase the price, we'll lose revenue, we'll lose market share because we are not the only player. Other players are also there in the market. So firm decision based on that. Micro concept, location of the industry. Where should we establish our base unit? How easy it will be to get workers, how easy it will be to have warehouse here, how difficult it will be to transact our good, how difficult it will be to have skilled people here. How should we go for transacting good as per the convenience of our demand in the market? So all these factors you have to take care. We have seen Nano started its venture in West Bengal, then they have to wind up. They incurred huge loss, 80% of production was done, but they had to wind up because of the factor. And then they got their presence in Gujarat and where they could flourish. So where is the location of the industry? That's equally important. How easy it becomes for you to procure raw material, how easy it is to get labor, how easy it is to transact the good. So all these factors you take care in microeconomics. What about macroeconomics? Macroeconomics is how countries' national income is increasing. Are people becoming more richer over the period of time? Are people having more income? How their consumption pattern is varying, how countries' output is increasing, how country has a stable price level. If inflation in the country will increase, then in that case, people cost of borrowing will increase. Cost of borrowing increases means if they have taken a house, parents have taken a house, you know that housing prices are going up. So people go for taking housing loan. They will be paying more of loan. They will be having less income. They'll have less income. They'll give you less for spending. So what is the rate of interest? That also decides about your spending. If you get higher interest in FD, why should I spend more in terms of cash I should keep? I should go for more savings. You keep more savings, that means you have less cash. Less cash means you will be spending less. Less spending means you're buying less of chips. So all these factors make impact on a firm. Macro factors. Balance of trade. Balance of trade. How countries becoming more open. If you're becoming more open, then in that case, you have raw material from international market. You have seen in chips, we are working. We have worked on aviation sector, aircrafts. We are working on other products. We have reduced our import bills. We are working on making our country more export driven. So all these factors, if you become more export driven, you decrease your import cost, what will happen? Your rupee becomes strong. You have more rupees. Then in that case, inflation in the country will be less. Inflation less means you will have more income in your hand. If you have more income in your hand, your purchasing power will increase. Your purchasing power increases means you'll buy more of goods and services. So external value of currency, how your rupee is becoming stronger or weaker over the period of time. What is the pattern of savings in the country? How many people are going for investment? So you have today apps like Zerodha and Grow and other apps. So people, what they are doing? They are going for more investments. More investments means if you put your money in saving account, you'll get 4%, 6% rate of interest if you go for FDs. But if you put in investments, you get 12% rate of returns. Obviously, it is market-driven. Risk is also there. But You get more money, you create your wealth, That means you go for more spending. So that these are all macro factors which are driving microeconomics or business firms. Level of employment. How many people are employed in the country? Is there a gap between skill of people? What is the skill people have? What's the demand in the market by firms? Is it matching? That means it is creating more job. More job means more income. More income means more spending. How the economy is growing. If economy is growing at a faster pace, companies will also produce because they know that if economy is growing, people will be buying more. But if the country is in the downturn, what happens when the country is not performing well? People fear we will not have job tomorrow. If we will not have job tomorrow, we will not have income. We will not have income. How will we spend? So basically, I want to tell you and I want to make you understand that a firm existence is only because of macro factors. And number two, macro is not the only factor which governs firms' existence. Because if this would have been, then in that case, all micro firms would have done well in the case of digital era. All those who are on digital landscape would have done well. But certain players have done well, certain have not done. So micro, it is also about decision making. So firms which have taken right decision, they will be excelling as compared to firms which have not taken right decision, despite being in the same macro environment. Okay, so macro environment may facilitate the process for micro or firms, but firms also have to decide about what good to be produced, which good to be produced, at what point of time we have to produce, what technology we have to use, what labor we have to use, what pricing we have to go for labor and capital, how expensive our capital will be. Should we go for debt? Should we go for equity? How long we should raise debt? How will we repay it? All those factors you have to decide. So that is micro and macro. Okay, so this is how. So business economics will be more inclined towards microeconomics. So what is the nature of business economics? It's a science, isn't it? It's a science. Why? Because if I say that, you see Parle-G over the years has not increased its price. Why? Because they know it will increase the price, the demand will decrease. So cause and effect relationship. What is the relationship between price of the good and demand for the good? What is the relationship between productivity and the salary paid? What is the relationship between revenue and cost? So you have to establish the relationship between cause and effect. And this is how you do in science, isn't it? How do you analyze in science? You go in a systematic manner. How much proportion of oxygen to be added with hydrogen to get water? It is all, and if we go for this proportion, this will be the impact. If we go for more carbon emission, then people will be having respiratory problems. Cause and effect, isn't it? So business economics is a science. Any firm taking any decision may be related to marketing, may be related to production, may be related to product attribute, may be related to expansion, may be related to mergers, acquisition, whatever it is. There's all science. You have to analyze why we are doing this. If we will do this, what will be the benefit of this? What will be the loss of this? If we will not do this, then what we are foregoing and what we will be gaining. So you have to analyze the trade-off also. That's the cause and effect relationship. That is why business economics is also considered as science. We have shared at length, business economics is microeconomics because we talk about a firm, micro level, price of the good, sales of the firm, production, cost, productivity, all those factors, microeconomics. Then it has elements of macroeconomics. You take any example, Baiju, Paytm, Urban Clap, your UPI, any player you talk about in the market has some element of macroeconomics. Today we are on this virtual platform, macroeconomics. This would not have been possible 7 years back, 10 years back, isn't it? So macro has made it easy for ICAI to give this opportunity to you. Otherwise, this would not have been possible. So macro elements are always there for a firm or for the micro level. It's an art. Art, reason being we have shared. Why so? Because you know, as a firm, I have cost constraints. I have resources constraints. I cannot go beyond $10,000. That's my constraint. But I want to generate $1 billion business. That's my end goal. But how to achieve that? Either I should have best of the workforce, best of the technology, market should be in my favor, my sales should enhance, and I'll go. But in that case, you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize what is first. And then respectively, based on the objective, you start mapping. Okay, fine. First is my cost. Okay, fine. Cost is my first objective. For this cost, what I have to do? For this cost, should I go for more labor intensive? Should I go for reskilling my existing employee? Should I go for hiring one person who can help these people to perform better? What should I do? So your core objective is cost minimization. But for cost minimization, you have any number of alternatives. And through those alternatives, you have to prioritize which should be the first one. So this is a rule-based game where you have defined objectives, and end goals. And since you have defined objectives with defined end goals, but limited resources, so you start categorizing A first, B 2, C 3, and so on. Then theory of market and private enterprises. As a firm, can you exist as a sole player? You cannot do. You have to look at your competitors. If Maruti has come with Grand Vitara, what made Maruti to come with Grand Vitara in the market? From 800 to Grand Vitara, what made it to come? So it's an organization which has to look for the market. Who are my competitors? What kind of products they are offering? What my consumers are demanding? Am I relevant in this market or not? If not, then how should I work for that? So companies, they innovate their product, they strategize. You see, it's not only confining to consumer product. Hospitals, you see today, how hospitals have modified. You go to any Apollo, you go to Fortis, you go to Max. What do you see today in the market? These hospitals are not core hospitals which are catering in terms of your suffering. They have robotics, they have surgery, but and you don't feel like you're in a hospital. You feel like you have eating joint also. Who could imagine this? But this is the need of the hour. So market defines firm strategy. Market defines how the firm should work. And this market has what? This market has other competitors. This market has consumers. This market has suppliers. And which makes you decide about that. How should we start? Private enterprises, how the private enterprises are working. It may be public enterprise, it may be private enterprise. It is about institutions. So today, you find middle income group and higher income group in India buying big cars. So companies are selling premium cars. What made them to sell these premium cars? Because credit has become easy, isn't it? You can get credit. You youngsters are buying iPhone. How come? Because companies are giving you an EMI. And despite being not earning with an EMI of 341, whatever it is, spread over 2 years and 3 years, you can buy, isn't it? So things are becoming more easy. So private enterprises are also gaining. The market is also defining. So the market, you have theory of market, and companies are driven by profit. That's the theory of market. Companies look for value maximization. Companies want to create their existence for long term. Okay, so this is about private enterprise. I want to gain profit. I want to grow. I want my sales maximization. Private enterprises. It's business economics is pragmatic in nature. How come pragmatic in nature? It's practical. It's practical. Reason being, you are more logical in your thought process. You cannot go in a random manner. I want to do this, I'll produce this good. Nokia went out of the market. Why? BlackBerry went out of the market. Why? Samsung is constantly innovating. Why? Because they have to compete. So you have to be very logical in your thought process. You cannot go in a random manner. You have to be very scientific in your thought process. That's business economics. If you want to be relevant, if you want to sustain, if you want to grow. And please do keep it in mind. Majorly, business economics we confine to profit-making companies, but it is equally true for non-profit companies. What's the challenge for non-profit companies? I have a very noble idea to serve people, but what's my challenge? From where to get funding? I don't have funds. My intent is very good, but I don't have funds. So every firm has a challenge, whether it is Tata's, Birla's, Ambani's, whosoever it is. Okay, so that's about interdisciplinary nature. Interdisciplinary nature in terms of today you buy from Amazon. What makes you to buy from Amazon or Flipkart? If you were not having that digital connectivity for financial payments or gateways, was it possible for you? You can track your order. Why so? Because you have that app in your mobile. So it has become finance, marketing, production, cost, revenue, HR, all has become interrelated. If a company is incurring high operating cost, then what business economics is there in high operating cost? Maybe we have normally companies, what do they do normally? Such companies, when they find they are incurring loss and their operating cost is going beyond a limit, what do? They tell people, you please leave the organization because we can't pay you salary. That's the most easy way, no? Those people who are working, they tell them, you please leave the job. And if you'll not leave, we'll issue you email today and tomorrow onwards you may not come. This is HR problem. This is HR domain, but it is related to economics. Why so? Because company has not taken care about the cost front, and that is why company is going for issuing pink slip to players that you leave the organization. So it is interdisciplinary in nature. Any firm has all the verticals. You have HR division, you have marketing division, you have production division, you have distribution division, you have logistic and everything, you have financing division, everything is there. All these are connected through business economics. Because what is business economics? Efficient allocation of resources to enhance productive capacity. All are working together for what? To minimize cost, to maximize benefit and returns. And how do you do it? By right decision, by right allocation of resources. Normative in nature, we have already shared. What is normative in nature? Normative in nature is that India, we go for more labor intensive because we know that we can have labor. This labor, we can make them more skilled. And since our population is humongous, so that will help us to go for more labor intensive. But countries which has less number of people, they will be inclined more towards, Japan is more inclined towards technology because they are more competent in technology. So decision making for an individual firm is all based on what is good for us, not only today, but tomorrow and in future also. Logical and rational way of analyzing the current scenario and resolving the problem and looking for the best solution in the given circumstances to grow not only today, but become relevant in future. Those companies who do not implement business economics, they become irrelevant in the market. If you people follow, you can understand the presence of Zodio despite Westside. What made Tata to come with Westside as well as Zodio? What made them to decide about the pricing difference between the two? How their ambience vary, how the location of Westside and Zodio vary, how their inventory varies. These all decisions are taken in a very pragmatic manner with cause and effect relationship in a very artistic way of thinking by understanding all the components of market and private enterprise and taking care about all the interdisciplinary factors. Then plan. It's not done in a random manner. If you will realize that company's packaging strategy is also part of business economics. How to make green products, how to decide about what is the cost, how should we go for this, everything. So companies today going for food delivery companies, not going for those plastic boxes for your dal or paneer or chicken, whatever you order today. Why so? Because government has banned macro factors affecting micro foods, business decision making. How do they work on that? So this is how it works. So what is the basic difference between micro and macroeconomics? So micro is more internal in nature. Internal issues. What will be the demand? If the demand is there today, will the demand be there in future? How long the demand will be there? We have seen Mr. Krishnamurthy worried about food segment demand reaching to the maturity, then they have to enter into soft drinks. Pepsi from fizz drinks came to plain vanilla water. Demand analysis and forecasting and deciding about production and cost. Should we produce at scale? Should we produce? Should we collaborate? Should we go for merger? Should we produce? Should we have less number of employees? Should we go for less number of employees and more productive workforce? Should we go for less low-skilled people and more in number? Cost analysis, production and cost. If we take loan, if we take debt, should we take it from India or should we take it from international market? If I'm export-driven firm, then what is important for me? How my cost is going to vary with respect to dollar and INR. Everything to be taken care of. So production and cost analysis. Inventory management. How much inventory should I have in my outlet? If I have surplus, then in that case, you understand working capital cycle. If I have surplus, you're extending your working capital cycle. That means you're incurring more costs. You're incurring more costs. You are left with less money for growth or expansion of your company. If you have less inventory, then consumers will be disappointed because they are not getting the product what you want to deliver. So inventory management, optimal level of inventory stock you should have to meet the demand. Inventory management. Market structure. How many competitors are there in the market? How much power do I have? Am I on the driver's seat in terms of deciding about the price of the good? Can I increase the price of my good? Or I can't go for increasing price of my good. How should I strategize regarding pricing and market structure? Internal issues, resource allocation. I have limited funds. Should I allocate more funds towards technology? Should I allocate more funds towards training of people? Should I allocate more funds towards marketing? What should I do? How should I strategize? How should I allocate my limited resources so that I can optimize? Theory of capital and investment. How much funds do I have? Should I enter a new market? Should I go for investments? If I go for investments, these investments will be high return generated? What is my cost of capital? What will be my rate of return? Everything you have to weigh. Should I put my own money? Should I take loan? If I take loan, then what is the rate of interest I have to give? Is it simple interest? Is it compound interest? How much time it will take? If I put money today, how much time it will take to generate revenue? Everything has to be analyzed. That's about my profit analysis. I want to be a profit-making company. Should I look for profit or am I looking for scale? So I want to work on sales maximization. Some people say, some organizations say, no, we'll produce less, but we'll look for huge profit. Some companies say their objective is that we will look for profit, but we'll look for profit in the long term. So oil companies, aviation companies, they look for profit in the long term, isn't it? But small vendor who's selling you basic products, who you buy from Tikkiwala, will be looking for profit in the short term. But the big players, those who go for huge investments, they look for profit in the long term and for a longer period of time. The profit analysis, you have to analyze how much profit do we need? How much profit is our core objective? Okay, so this is how you strategize. Then macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is about environment. How environment is important. So in which country you are, is government is more regulatory for taking decisions, or you as a firm has more autonomy and authority to decide about what good to be produced, and how, or the government going for restriction in terms of tariffs, licensing, quotas, any factor which restricts you, or government protecting small players, and that is why big players are losing in the market. How much government intervention is there? How much freedom you as an enterprise has in the market? Economic system. What kind of economic system do you have? Business cycle. So for example, today, digital companies are doing very well because digital public infrastructure is growing at a fast rate. Business cycle, which physical stores are losing because digital space is making more impact on consumers with ease, accessibility, affordability, every front. And that is why physical stores are losing. So what these physical stores are doing, they are collaborating with online. So that if we do not have, because physical stores have high rentals, they cannot meet, and they are losing. Business cycle of physical stores or the other players are on the down. Kirana stores, they are on the downturn. And it's the market of hypermarkets, supermarkets, they are doing well. So business cycle. IT industry is doing well. AI is doing well. Cloud computing is doing well. So that's the business cycle. Which companies are doing well? Which sector is doing well? Not about companies, it's about business cycle. Overall aggregate demand in the country. India's aggregate demand is increasing because the country is growing. Aggregate demand is increasing means people will be buying more. People will be buying more. We can produce more. That's why real estate is doing so well. Country is optimistic. Business cycle. If the business cycle is on the upturn, means aggregate demand in the country is increasing. Macro fundamentals are doing well. Companies will be doing well. They will be more optimistic. They will be producing more. They will be investing more. They'll have more inventories because they know their goods will be sold. So business cycle. Business cycle, countries in which stage is doing well, is on the downturn, is going through recession, inflation, the country is stable, or inflation is too high. What is the stage of business cycle in the country? That defines about production and cost of the firm. General trends. How is national income of the country? How employment is overall in the country, how youngsters are getting jobs, how overall income is increasing in the country, how stable the price level in the country is about agro products, crude oil, other factors, how the prices are. Is savings increasing in the country? If savings are increasing, those savings are channelized for investments or not. If investments in the country are increasing, if investments will increase, you have good roads, you are doing investments on roads, you have metro, you have better railways. What's happening because of that? You have good manufacturing units. So investments are increasing. If investments will increase, more job. More job means more income. More income means more demand. More demand means companies will be producing more and more. So savings and investments. If people save, but those savings are channelized for investments, good. But people save in gold and others, it will not reach the market. So what is the level of savings? How well developed the financial market is? Government policies, where the government is imposing high taxes, where government is giving. So green projects, government is subsidizing. That's why green companies are more in the market today. That's why you see green buses, green cars, because government is subsidizing them. What kind of fiscal policy, what kind of tax rate do they have? What kind of subsidies they offer? Government policies. How open our economy is. We encourage imports of raw material from other countries. We encourage technology from other countries where we are lacking. We go for lowering down the excise duties. How is the level of competition? How globalization is expanding? How we are connected to global world. Today you can buy goods online from anywhere in the world. That's why Indian companies have to become more competitive to match up to not only domestic players but also international. Globalization, industrial policy, how industrial policy is, how you are promoting ease of doing business, how transparent the policies are, how easy it is to file tax for companies, how companies can overcome their financial problems, how easy it is to resolve land norms, industrial policy, how government takes care about making policies which reduces more power in one particular company's hand or others. Industrial policy. Is government helping textile industry to support more? Industrial policy. Are environmental issues. Working of central bank. How country's Reserve Bank of India is performing. How financially strong the central bank is. how banks are doing, how banks are more stable, how financial health of banks is. If financial health of the banks is good, that means they can give you credit on credit. If they can give you credit, you can buy more. You can buy more, and when banks will be able to give more credit, companies which are financially sound, they will be repaying more. So it is both ways, isn't it? The financial sector, how the regulations are, how the financial health of banks is, how the financial health is of capital market, how regulators are ensuring compliance. There should not be any wrong practices which should be encouraged. So today you see in this digital landscape, people are buying online, and cyber frauds are increasing. So we have a digital law, legal system in place, which is helping not only individual, but also who has laid down these norms? Financial institution. That is the financial regulatory body has laid down norms. Today you can take care about your KYC online, and you can ensure that. So it is because of the regulatory bodies. SEBI has taken many initiatives today, which is helping you people, youngsters, to have your presence in the market. So environmental issues, socioeconomic organizations, how the trade unions. So you have G20, we had G20, we have better collaboration with countries, which made us having our presence in international market. We can work together to promote more green in the world market. We can get financing from the rest of the world. How countries are becoming more close to each other in terms of trade and others, which helps them to decrease their cost. Consumer and producer policies. So we have CCI, Competition Commission of India. You have consumer protection right, which is in place, which takes care about consumers. You have data norms, data laws, where you can go for filing any data breach case which has happened. Social and political environment, how political system is, how easy it is for you to understand policy matters, how impactful policy matters are, how policy matters are helping companies, how stable the government is, how policy matters have been implemented over the period of time. What is the impact of? So today we see girl empowerment, women empowerment, farming sector, growth and innovation, helping SME sector. So all these are factors which is helping at the micro level. So micro is internal, which is more related to business economics, and macro is environmental, which is external factors, which may be external in terms of government policy matters, your competitors, your industry, and apart from that, it will be over and above the global factors. Rules, regulations, laws, all other factors defines the environment. So this is about basic introduction before we go for economic problems. Okay, so this is summary which is there in your course, your book also. You can see that resource book which you have. So basically what we have shared, why the problem arises and why economies are in existence, because of two reasons. Everywhere, you being an individual, as a consumer, you being a producer, you being a big conglomerate, you being a small enterprise, you may be startup, you may be non-profit organization, you may be government, you may be international body, whatever it is. It's about two basic core reasons. Human wants are unlimited. You want to achieve everything. But what is your constraint? Resources are constrained. That's the core of economics. That's why we have to go for optimization. That's why we have to go for allocation of resources. So economics is the study of processes which help to allocate scarce resources in a most efficient manner so that you can achieve best out of the minimum things you have. And the subject of economics has two components, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Micro is a concept which is micro as self is confining to individual, firm, product, pricing. We have shared at length. Macro is broader. Microeconomics is about individual units. I've shared with you how companies, how you decide about your income to be spent, how you decide about what portion of your income should be spent on books, how much should be spent on party, how much should be spent on watching TV, going movies, and investments, and creating your wealth, and so on and so on. So it's about everyone. Macroeconomics is the study of behavior of the large economic aggregates we have shared. Countries' income, countries' output, employment in the country, how savings are changing in the country, how investment environment is changing in the country, how your country's export figures are doing, how import figures are, how much reliance you have on oil, how much you are becoming more sustainable in terms of chip, how much you can produce solar panels in the country and green initiatives you can take in a country. There's no end to it. Business economics. Business economics is the culmination of economics and business, where business is what business we look for, maybe profit maximization, maybe long-term sustainability, and you want to achieve it through minimizing cost and maximizing returns or maximizing impact. So it's a microeconomics, and you have interaction here with macroeconomics. So there are two categories. One is microeconomics, which is applied operational. Operational is internal factors, and macro, which is environmental or external. Business economics, we have shared, it takes care about all components: demand forecasting, production, cost, inventory management, pricing policies, resource allocation, capital decision-making, investment decision-making, profitability analysis, risk analysis, risk mitigation, risk minimization, everything you take care about. So this is macroeconomics related to business economics, has both the components, and it takes care of business cycle. Digital infrastructure has changed the rule of the game. Credit cycle, ease of credit has changed buying pattern of consumer. That is why it has become so easy for you and me today to buy any product because of net banking, because of digital payments. You can make payments in a fraction of seconds. So this is because of the ecosystem which has been created in the country. Okay, so macro, and this about regulated environment, regulated for no fraud should happen. No one should misuse the power given to the consumer and to the producer. So you have regulatory bodies which control it, which regulate it, which facilitates it. So you have RBI, you have SEBI, you have pension fund regulatory body, you have insurance, and so and so. You have CCI, Competition Commission of India. You have MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So all these players take care about. You have Income Tax Authority. These all players take care about trade ministry and external trade affairs and others, which takes care about what tariff to be fixed, what rate it should be fixed, where should we go for subsidies, where should we go for penalizing exporters, importers, giving them benefit, and so and so. Okay, so this is about first segment of your first chapter, introduction. And so what we have shared, what is economics, how the business world is changing, how business and economics are interconnected, how micro and macro plays role, how it is important for a firm to decide the resource allocation in the most efficient manner. What is the nature of business economics? What is the scope of business economics? And how microeconomics is more about internal issues and operational issues, and macroeconomics is more about external issues and environmental issues. How regulatory bodies, how economic system in the country plays an important role for the firm performance or for the sustainability of a company, product, pricing, consumers' interest, welfare, debt cycle, risk, resilience of the country with respect to international market, and so on and so. Okay, so this is about first segment, that is introduction. And I'll proceed with the second one because this is of 2 hours and we have to wind up by 4 o'clock. So I'm starting with the second segment, that is Unit 2, Basic Problems of an Economy and Role of Business Price Mechanism. You just imagine US, India, Japan, China, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, Singapore, and other countries. And if I ask you, you being today in your teens, from school till today, how you have seen India transform, how you have seen India transform. India has transformed, whether you talk about banking, whether you talk about consumer products or services, whether you talk about education, whether you talk about roads, whether you talk about your railways, you talk about aviation sector, anything and everything you talk about, how the country has changed. The country has changed more from government regulations to giving more space to private players, isn't it? You see today, you have private universities, you have international universities. Prior, it was about only government who was taking care about state government, taking care about education. Now you have private players, you have foreign players. Roads are not only constructed by government, but it has been given to private players. Health, which was only taken care by government, now you see private players are entering. Every segment, insurance prior was only, life insurance was only LIC was offering. Now you have private players. So basic problem of any economy decides about that. First and foremost, like a firm has to decide what should we produce. Should we produce food products? Should we produce softwares? Similarly, economy has to decide what to produce. Should we produce more of welfare products, merit goods, or should we produce more of public goods, or should we produce more of market goods, which can drive more profit? Should we give how to produce? Should we go for more capital intensive? Should we go for more labor intensive? Should we go for more technology driven? Should we go for taking care about which way should we produce, how to produce? Should government produce major products? Should individual firms or the private players produce more? Should we go for deciding about that who should produce what and how should they produce? Then for whom to produce? Should we produce for higher income strata? Should we produce for lower income people? Should we take care about premium products? Should we go for necessity goods? Should we cater to people, those who have low income? Should we go for those who have higher? For whom to produce? Whom to produce? If I'm producing something, whom I'm producing for? Then what provisions are to be made? Provisions are to be made in terms of economic growth, for economic growth. So if government of India decides about that health sector should also be open to private players. We see today why private players, government has given option to private players to enter in the market. So government says we have offered Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman Bharat is about taking care about health services. You see, cost of health is increasing day by day. So people, middle income group people and higher income people can still go to best of the hospital because they don't want to compromise on health. So they can go for paying high price. So let private players cater to this. Now, poor people who can't go to private hospitals, what they'll do? They will be deprived of health services, and that's a basic requirement. So what government will say? Government will say, we have government hospitals where all the players will get subsidized service. So if you want to go for services at your doorstep, you can go to the private players. They will give you technology-driven services. But if you want to go for basic services and you're deprived of that, we'll cater. So what provisions to be made so that, and apart from that, if I give it to the private, so COVID vaccine given to private players and others, then government said you cannot go, and hospitals, those who were offering you COVID vaccine, they were told you cannot charge high price. So government can make certain provisions where government can say that this is important for the well-being of the people, for the growth of the country. So despite giving it to private players, government can also go for intervening. Okay, so what provisions to be made? So these are 4 basic verticals which any country will face, and that is why it's known as central economic problem. Central economic problem. You may be rich country, you may be poor, So you may be very poor country, you may be developing country, you may be developed country, but all countries have to face these problems. All these problems. They prioritize based on their goal. But these problems are always there. What to be produced, how to be produced, for whom to be produced, and what provisions to be made so that economic growth should not sacrifice at any cost. These are central economic problems. Okay. So economic system is majorly divided in three categories. In today's world, you won't find this clear-cut demarcation that this is a capitalist country, this is a socialist country, this is a mixed economy. So economic system basically is the total arrangement where they decide about who will take care about production, who will take care about distribution of goods and services. Will it be about private players? Will it be about government? Will it be a combination of private and government? Whose interests will be taken care of first and the foremost? Is it about individuals, those who can afford to buy goods and services, or will it be about society? Will it be on a larger scale? Will it be confined to a specific group of people? As a government, we will control it, or we will give it to the private player to some extent, and then we'll go for taking care about welfare activities in our hand. So you have capitalist. Capitalist means profit-driven, consumer-driven, more autonomy to private players. You produce, you gain profit, you take care about, and consumers who will be producing which goods, which consumers will be demanding. So, and who will be demanding those goods? Who can afford to buy those goods? So who will be buying those goods? Those who can afford to buy. And since they can afford to buy goods, so that goods only will be produced. So that's a limitation of capitalist economy. So it's a consumer-driven economy, it is a profit-driven economy. But since it is a profit economy, what happens in this economy? All players have to achieve excellence, isn't it? If you will not achieve excellence in your production capacity, then your competitors will take over the market. So competition increases quality, enhances quality, productive capacity, reduces cost, increases efficiency. But at the same time, this is confined for whom? Those who can afford to buy that. Those who cannot afford to buy it, obviously for them, goods will not be produced. So what will they do? They will be deprived of those goods. So capitalist economy, and if your country is poor, then should you go for capitalist economy, giving more power to private players? Definitely not, isn't it? So in that case, if a country is poor, this will be more inclined towards socialist economy. What is socialist economy? Socialist economy, government has more power. Government has more power in deciding about major production, distribution, what goods to be produced, by whom to be produced, how to be produced. So you have to have more labor because we are a poor country. So employment will increase only when you will go for absorbing more labor. So you have to go for labor intensive. You have to have labor norms in place. You have to offer this much salary, and as per the labor norms, you have to give them salary. Socialist. If you are a big conglomerate, then in that case, you have to go for taking care about the social issues. So socialist economy is more inclined towards government control, communist countries. More control, command economy. I say you follow, command economy. Less of autonomy. More about, ideally they say that socialist economy is more about welfare, less about profit making. But sometimes it happens that government, because it's the government who decides about, sometimes they have their own rigid norms that may suppress certain segments. So here, sometimes it happens, government becomes so powerful, or the command economy, the players become, those who have autonomy, they become so powerful, it may adversely affect welfare of the country also. Ideally, it is meant for welfare, but sometimes it may go against it. What about mixed economy? Mixed economy is a combination of both capitalist economy as well as socialist. So in today's world, you will not find any country in the world which is core capitalist, or which is core socialist, or which is core in these extremes. Each and every country is a mixed economy, but maybe possible it is more inclined towards capitalist, and some may be more inclined towards socialist. a balanced combination of mixed economy with socialists and capitalists is very rare to find. Very rare to find. So countries are who decides what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce? Who decides? Is it government? Is it private player? Is it a combination of both? Who has more power? Who is the country making more luxurious goods, consumer-driven goods, or is it more about community welfare goods or any other factor? So these are the three categories. What goods to be produced? What should be the production strategy? How should goods be distributed? So we have MSP in India, minimum support price. We have ration shops. Government goes for subsidizing for people. Education is free to some people. Other people, education is very expensive if they want to go to private colleges and schools. Mixed economy. We have a combination of private players and government. So government can go for collaboration. Government decides about these are the sectors where we can allow private players because some people can afford it. But we'll cater to water. Who's thinking about water? Government, because water is essential. So that is government is, but now private players have come. Bangalore, there's no water. The government has told private players, you work on R&D to save water. So this is how mixed economy and capitalist and socialist economy vary. So what are the features of capitalist economy? It's more about private players. In the enterprises, private firms have more freedom to decide about. This is what I want to produce. This is the price I'll quote. This much profit I'll gain. Freedom of economic choice. They are more profit-driven. Profit motive is the core of capitalist economy. Consumers are the king. Those consumers who can pay for the good will produce that good. Those who cannot pay, whether it is essential good, but will not produce because consumers can't afford to pay for that. Since they can't afford to pay, we will not be generating revenue, we will not be generating profit. Why should we produce? So they will not. Competition is very high because each player is looking for profit maximization, and that is why consumer is the king, and that is why they have to work on efficient use of resources. So efficiency goes up, but it's confined to goods which can be offered, services which can be offered to set up people who can buy. Do keep it in mind. There's absence of government intervention. So self-interest prevails over anything else. Price mechanism is independent of the government intervention. Sometimes it happens, consumer gets exploited. Price may be very high. I become a single player in the market, and then I go for charging high price. You do not have an option, so you'll buy from me. So self-interest. So these are some factors of capitalist economy. So how capitalist economy decides about what goods to be produced, I've shared with you. What to produce, consumer-driven and service. What drives demand? What has a purchasing power? Those goods and services will be produced. How to produce? What is the cost of labor? What is the cost of capital? What should be the ratio of capital and labor so that I can minimize my cost and maximize my production and revenue? So should it be labor intensive? Should it be capital intensive? Should I go for training my employees? Should I go for technology-driven products? How should I go for collaboration with other players so that I should go for outsourcing so that I can reduce my cost? Should I go for in-house production? Should I take services from other players? All these components, how to produce, for whom to produce. Capitalist economy normally produces for higher income group people because they can only afford to buy. So it's more, if a country is more developed, definitely it's more inclined towards capitalist, okay? Consumption and investment, and what is the rate of interest and savings, and respectively, how the capitalist economy. So because this is the cost, no? Rate of interest is the cost. So countries will be deciding about how to produce in a capitalist economy. Merits, we have already shared. Efficiency increases. It brings more about quality products for the consumer. Productivity goes up. Operational efficiency increases. Cost minimizes. But consumer gets more autonomy. But the problem here is, what are the limitations of this? Limitation is that it promotes inequality. Those who can buy, they can buy. Those who can't buy, they can't buy. They'll not be getting. It may lead to more dominance of the private players, which can start dictating in the market and which can hamper the overall growth or the well-being of the people. So consumer becomes the king. And this And sometimes it happens that education, health, quality health services get hampered because of the capitalist economy. It can lead to unplanned production because companies may become more profit driven and they start producing more in lieu of getting more profit. So that may adversely affect. Huge amount gets, they spend a lot on advertisement and promotion activities because consumers have an option and consumer is the king. So rather than using it more productively, they spend more on these operational expenses. So it may go up. So these are the drawbacks of capitalist economy. Socialist economy, the core is, it was propounded by Karl Marx, and it's about communist. Communist means more power to the government and to the regulatory body. It's also known as command economy. It is also known as centrally planned economy. Here you have collective ownership, profit motive, which is not about firm A or B or one particular enterprise or few enterprise. It is about profit motive for the entire economy or for the sector. This is how collective ownership. Self-interest gets it's diluted here. It's about major impact on the society. Here, planning plays very important role. Central plans plays very important role. In capitalist economy, we have seen planning is not that important, at least for government planning in terms of long term. Consumer choice is limited. Income distribution becomes more equitable. Equitable because it's a communist economy where it helps to promote health, education, housing for all, food for all, quality of life, basic amenities. That's the core goal of socialist economy. Price mechanism becomes more controlled. Control, you cannot increase price beyond a point. Merits of social economy, it promotes obviously equitable distribution, it brings more balance. Income inequality in the country decreases. Overall well-being of people is ensured. It's a planned economy which reduces overconsumption, which is not leading to, which promotes employment opportunities, and which reduces business fluctuations because it moves in a more planned manner. It's more cooperative. It promotes, it ensures minimum standard of living of people. So, and consumers' interest is also taken care, not only of upper strata, but all across. Demerits, what will be the demerits? If government becomes very, very strong, the command economy players become very strong. They have their own notions. They start dictating terms. This will hamper the growth of quality. Sometimes quality gets compromised with the command economies there. Corruption gets promoted sometimes. You have to get licensed, you have to get permits, you have to, sometimes authorities, the time increases. We have seen government has worked on this. All government portals, ease of doing business becomes easy because of online. You can track your application process, becomes easy. So this has been given to technology-driven players, which brings. So you can bring a combination of two. Otherwise, if you confine to more skewed towards maybe capitalist or socialist, it has it all minus and plus. But the best way is more balanced, going through mixed economy. Mixed economy is more balanced economy, which can take care about rich people also, which can take care about poor people also. And you go for segregation, private players as well as government players. Government will take care about lower income and deprived set of people. You private players take care about people who can afford to buy. So you have capitalist component also, you have socialist component also here. Here both the components are there, market economy also and command economy also. So both work together. What is the major challenge in this economy? Major challenge is you have to make a balance. It's very difficult to make a balance. Sometimes it gets more inclined towards capitalist, sometimes it gets more inclined towards socialist. So to have a balance is a big challenge. And this is not confined in today's market, how your country is doing. It's also about international factors. So when COVID happened, we became more socialist, isn't it? Because government had to intervene, lockouts, social distancing, helping people, waiving off loan. So then command economy plays major role. But end of the day, the goal of all countries in the world majorly is to promote economic growth and welfare of the people. It depends at which stage of growth you are in a country, and respectively you decide about. Shall we go for more of capitalist economy? Shall we go for more of socialist economy? Or should we have more of balanced approach in terms of mixed economy? Democratic countries normally have mixed economy because they want to give option to both the players. If you can afford better quality good at a high price, go for it. So those who can afford to go for premium hospitals, they go for it. Those who can't afford, they go to government hospitals where they get facilities, but you have to wait in a queue. So this is how it works. So economic freedom and incentive is given to private players. Private players get more subsidies if government wants to promote them. And this is how private players get more initiative. We have seen in railways, we have seen in case of roads, flyovers, tremendous change, automobile, education, health. Price mechanism and competitive forces play important role for private sector, which helps in better resource allocation for because in private you get more. So that's why we had bidding, bidding spectrum. So government goes for bidding. So it gives it to private players, telecom sector. You have seen coal mines. You see coal mine commercialization of coal mines. Government says we are incurring huge costs in coal mines. You private players, you take care about. And this will help in resolving our power issues also. We will be importing less oil, less coal from China also. This is how it is going to help us. The government can decide about here we want to retain our stake and here we want to give it to the private players. But end of the day, the core objective is welfare of majority of the people and still gaining profit to become more sustainable. So we have ports which are given to private players today, you know about. So private players are also taking care about ports because ports is the connecting link between the two players to get the right price in the market. And price can take risk. Economic planning plays important role. Agriculture, women empowerment, equality, farming, small and medium enterprises, housing, cleanliness, governance. Here, government always has some control. Data security. All these factors where the sensitive data, government has still taken care about that, should be with us. And government always draw a line. So you may be a private player, but government can always intervene in interest of country and in interest of well-being of the people. So demerits also are there, as I've told you. Sometimes it becomes difficult. Government intervention. Some people believe, private players believe, the cess tax goes up and up. So private players find it not so lucrative to invest, and then they start losing that investment track in that, and then the government has to go for that. So this is how it becomes difficult. Taxation norms may not be so well in favor of the players. So that's why government has to work on that. So there are some limitations of each economy, but the best is mixed economy where you balance. And we can't say in today's world, you have core capitalist economy, you have core of socialist economy. Yes, you can have more inclination toward capitalist, you may have more inclination towards socialist. And the biggest challenge is to have mixed economy where you can make a balance between capitalist and socialist economy. So this is how the core unit chapter is all about. So the core problem here is about scarcity of resources, making economic decisions, economic problems. Your wants are unlimited, you have scarce resources. What is the central problem for any economy? What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, and how government should take care about so that it should not sacrifice economic growth of the country. You have very good examples. What we have faced in life is COVID and financial crisis. I don't know how many of you youngsters think into financial crisis, but definitely COVID, we all know about how we have gone through and how government intervention and private players collaboration has helped country to overcome. Otherwise, if the private players would not have supported along with the government, we could not have overcome this. The Ayushman card and that Ayushman, what you say, Arogya Setu app, which was there in your phones, to taking care about, you got that certificate online that you are vaccinated. Those who were not vaccinated, they could see that how many days it will take you to reach to the hospital, when you will be going to the hospital, how much time it will take. People were coming, private players were coming to your doorstep to collect your sample. People, those who were not having oxygen cylinders, private players pushed in to help private players. Because the private players, people who were deprived of oxygen cylinders, they could get, government had subsidized companies which were producing oxygen cylinders. Aviation companies had sacrificed their oxygen for this, for the safeguarding of people. Government had laid down norms for landlords. You cannot charge rentals from people. Banks were told clearly that you cannot go for asking for interest payments till the time economy is back on track. In the capitalist economy, or where you have more of private players, there also government can intervene where they feel it is important to intervene.
From examination point of view, or to understand the basic distinction, the last point in the summary very well explained the distinction between the three economies that you just spoke about. A capitalist economy uses the tool of price mechanism. A socialist uses the tool of central planning, and a mixed uses both price mechanism and central planning. So this summarizes the basic distinction between the three types of economy that you have just discussed about. Now, students, ma'am has already discussed in detail the whole concept of the first two units that is there in your syllabus. What is economics? What is business economics? What is the distinction between economics and business economics? The whole important point is the distinction between the capitalist, socialist, mixed economy, because from the examination point of view, this section carries a weight of 5%, and mostly the questions are generally of a nature that if you study our study module, you can easily answer that question. Basic distinctions are there, which is already given in your study module. So it's a simple chapter, but only point is understanding of these concepts is essential when we are moving ahead in the next section onwards. So from learning perspective also, or from examination perspective also, generally the questions are asked. Suppose few statements have been given, you have to identify this is falling under economics or business economics. So you have to know the distinction between business economics and economics. Now, sometimes characteristics of capitalist, socialist, or mixed economies are there. Now, three characteristics of socialist economy is there, and one characteristic of capitalist economy is there. Now, you have to identify which is the wrong one. So, the distinction in your mind about these three types of economies is very important, because generally today mostly is an era of mixed economy only, because most of the countries are thriving on mixed economy or capitalist in a sense, because India is more of a mixed economy rather than a purely capitalist economy. So from that perspective, from that macro perspective, these two units are important. Although I had seen that mostly students have understood the concept, very few queries are there, although that is negligible in number. So from next class onwards, although ma'am will be uploading some practice questions, that is basically now this whole economics paper is converted into objective type paper. So 10 objective type questions regarding this two units will be uploaded, and you can practice so that you can also have a feel that how much you have understood the concepts. And the most important thing is the summary that has been given at the end of each chapters. Kindly revise that because that is the crux of what is been given in the whole chapter. So sometimes the questions that is been coming in the examination is from the summary only. So summary is very important. So keep on revising the concepts, and if you practice this habit of doing it now, so it won't be having a burden till you reach the 10th unit. So start practicing, start studying, start revising the concept that is being taught in these classes, so that you can prepare well for exam well in advance, because your January exam will be starting from 12th January onwards. So before that, we'll be completing the whole syllabus, we'll be giving you some time also for self-study. So if you are practicing right from the start, so it won't be creating a burden for you in the preparation stage and apart from the learning stage also. Okay, over to you, ma'am, just for concluding remarks.
Thank you so much, sir. Nikhil sir, you have made things easy for me also. So all of you understand now that this paper can help you not only for your foundation, but all throughout. This is the foundation, in fact, for all other streams. And you take it not in terms of subject where you can score, but also which can be experiential learning for long term. So don't just go through simple statements and just cram it for the sake of it. Read between the lines, try to connect with examples so that your retention power goes up and you score very, very good marks in this paper. And number two, all chapters are correlated. So you have to start connecting. We have started with the basics. Now all chapters will be interrelated, and some or the other reference will always be there with respect to this first chapter. So weightage may be less, but you can't go for ignoring this chapter because weightage is less. Okay, so give due weightage when you start preparing for it. And as far as your doubts are concerned, if there are some major doubts, you can share it with Nikhil sir, and I will be taking care of that in the next class if there is some major concern. Otherwise,
although I had seen that mostly no major queries are there, because these are all chapters that is basic understanding of the subject we are taking about, although the concept will be dealing in detail in the later classes only. So it's basically to know about the subject. So mostly for creating the interest in that particular subject and knowing the importance of the subject, that is more important. Because what you are studying, if you don't know what is the importance of that particular subject, now definitely it won't give you the knack to study. So definitely it's a basic chapter to create interest in business economics. And now from next class onwards, we will be dealing with the concept which will be making it more interesting for you. So thanks a lot, ma'am, for taking this session, and I hope you'll be uploading the questions for practice, and the student will be practicing that, and we'll meet in the next class day after tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.